Hello and welcome to a new episode of Foodocracy for Her. Foodocracy for Her is a podcast dedicated to women, Indian F&B business, and I'm your host, Kalyan Karmakar. And today we'll be interviewing and speaking to Chef Beena Noronha, who is behind restaurants such as Gigi, Lyla, and now Scarlett. And without much ado, let's go and listen to her story. So there she is, Chef Beena Noronha, and Chef B, as she's known among her friends, or just B. So welcome on board, and it's so good to see you.
Thank
We
you,
need to meet
Kalyan,
in
for
person.
having me. Yes, we do,
And
definitely.
Merry Christmas a day later. Happy Boxing Day.
Thank
So,
you.
so I don't know at which point of time you'll be watching it, telling the viewer. But yesterday was Christmas, Christmas 24. Previous day was Christmas Eve, festive season, New Year's coming up. So thanks for doing this, Meena. You're really like extremely tired.
Yeah, I am exhausted. It was a
Hmm.
really busy season,
Hmm.
even at Lila as well as Gigi. I think Christmas season is very exciting. Also because I'm Christian, so I got to celebrate Christmas with a bigger family in the restaurant with my team. It was really exciting, and it's great to always see so many guests come into the restaurant and enjoy your curated menu for the season. And I've been getting great reviews about the food. So all in all, I'm really happy.
Yeah, and so I mean, you spoke about staff as an extended family, but in a way, the diners are also because
Yes, of
it's
course.
like it's being a full Christmas experience
Yes, of course.
for them. And you had two restaurants, Lila and Gigi. So how
Yeah.
did you sort of spread yourself between them?
Well,
Yesterday, I mean, yesterday in particular, did you like base yourself physically at one place?
so
And
actually, at the moment, I'm looking at three restaurants. One is
yeah,
Gigi, Lila, and the
mm,
third one is Scarlett House, which I've just started working with.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
so basically, what I do is I spend half my day in one particular location and then half a day in the other.
Mm.
And depending where I'm required the most. So yesterday, I think I was really required at Gigi because we had like a huge volume of reservations. And the menu is also very extensive. So I was at Gigi yesterday on Christmas Day.
And I can expect, understand because I mean, Gigi's getting rave reviews, Lila also, and I'm sure your new place as well will be getting it soon. And you're women restaurateur of the year, woman chef of the year.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
so a lot of high expectations. But before I just want to take a bit of go back a bit in time because I was reading up about you, and then I was wondering whether I've got the wrong person because what I read up said that you were in the fashion industry before this. You were a designer.
Right. Yeah, so
So
actually I was working in the fashion industry for 16 years.
16 years, huh?
I studied fashion in 2001 and I worked in that industry until 2018.
As a designer
And
or
so I was the brand head
okay,
for a retail brand in India.
okay.
And I've worked as a buyer, buying merchandise. I worked as a designer. So through the 16 years, I've done different things in the fashion industry. And in 2018, I think I had a calling. I was watching something on Netflix. Though I've always been into cooking food and I always enjoyed, hosting people at home and cooking for them. And I think everyone always told me that, you should do something with food.
Yeah.
And I think I was watching Amninder Sandhu, Chef Amninder, on
Yes,
the
yes,
final table. And
yes,
when I saw her, I said, I think I could also become a chef, because
yes,
as you're growing up as a woman, being a chef is not really a profession that you're pushed towards, even if you're cooking
yes.
good food at home. It's not a profession that women look at. And when I saw her, and I'm like, maybe this is what I need to try doing. And if I don't do well, I can always come back, but I must try because it felt like a dream at that time. And it was really moving for me when I watched her, and I just saw myself in that space. And
In
that's
fact,
when
chef,
I decided.
Yeah, I was saying that in fact, Chef Amninder, and people like her and people like you, I mean, are really icons and inspirations. I've known her from when she was in Taj Lands and interviewed her for Foodocracy for Her. And what I was telling her was that even when women came into the culinary industry as chefs, the
Right.
initial thing was more through pastry and patisserie, and they were considered to be like softer, easier sort of thing for women to come in. A
Right.
bit of a cliche or a sexist, but people like Chef Amdinder were one of the first people to come in, and she was saying that she had to prove her worth by standing in the tandoor or taking the heavy ladle and
Yeah.
swirling around the curries
Yeah.
and so do you see that? I mean, that was 2018, and now it's we're almost at the end of 24. So
Yeah.
6 years since at that point, and Amrinder a bit earlier. Do you see this changing? Do you see more women getting into the mainstream kitchen?
I think
Or
now there are a few women who are getting into the mainstream kitchen because I feel like if you're a good chef because of social media or other things that you there is visibility
Yes,
unlike
yes,
before, right? There's
yes,
visibility, so I think people are choosing to get into the culinary space, but I'm not sure whether they're choosing it for the right reasons. I don't know whether if they understand that it comes with a lot of responsibility, and it comes with a lot of grief of giving up other things.
yes.
Because
Like
I
for
feel
example,
why it's
Christmas for you
harder for
yesterday.
women. Yeah, I feel it's harder for women because you also have a lot of pressure from the family. Like
Yeah.
I've seen young girls, they have to get married, or if they're the age of 25 to 30, if they have children, motherhood isn't easy, and having a
Yes.
difficult profession. I mean, I don't think being a chef. I mean, when I saw Amninder Sandhu on Final Table, it was really fascinating. But when I actually got into the hospitality industry, and then I realized this is hard. There was a time where I was thinking, whether this should have just been my passion, cooking. Should I have made this my profession? There were a lot of questions. But yeah, somehow I think I got through and I got the right opportunities to put myself out there and make a difference, or, put something on the plate.
So, what are the right reasons to for wanting to become a chef? You said that people often join for the wrong reasons. So,
The
what
wrong
should be the
reason.
right
What I
reasons?
feel is like most people now, I've seen there are a lot of chefs, just, chefs for Instagram.
Yes.
Uh, right? I'm not saying that they are wrong, but I'm just saying that they just want to, it's more about showing than
And
actually
there's
doing.
both genders, right? I mean, we're
Yeah,
not
yeah,
saying
yeah,
just women. I
yeah,
mean, there's both
yeah.
genders.
There's
Yes.
both genders. This is,
Yeah.
yeah, it's not based on gender, but it's
Hmm.
more about, showing than actually doing. So if they come to an actual commercial kitchen, they might have a real hard time.
And also restaurants which follow that philosophy of like being restaurants which are Instagrammable, where the food is Instagrammable. There's nothing wrong with that, but that can't be the core focus. And I don't think those places last too long, even if they have, say, a lot of money behind it. I mean, to get repeat customers or word of mouth, I think that becomes really tough. But and what are the right reasons to becoming a chef? Now that you've spent 6 years learning,
Right,
doing well.
reasons, I would say, if you're really passionate about
Hmm,
cooking for others, right?
hmm,
If you want to dedicate your life towards serving people,
hmm,
I think hospitality is about serving people more than serving yourself. You have to
hmm,
be selfless. If you even look at the kind of salaries or in hospitality, the chefs, what they earn is
hmm,
minuscule. Like
hmm, hmm.
it's nothing compared to what you're putting out there.
Hmm,
The
hmm,
hard work and the hours
hmm,
and whatever
hmm,
you're giving up
hmm,
to be,
hmm,
part of
hmm,
this industry.
hmm. And it's a bit difficult to sort of digest when you're on the other side because you just feel that you feel that you're paying so much as a diner,
Yeah.
But so there's a bit of a disbalance happening, and I think it's going to take some time to settle down because for new restaurants, there's so many more expenses. The real estate, I think that's the biggest.
Yeah. Yeah.
The staffing is very different from earlier because earlier it was more like a cook, a worker sort of thing versus now chefs who are trained, who come from a certain
Mm,
background, waiting staff who need
mm.
to sort of be able to, and you're talking to an audience which is very different, marketing. And in fact, I want to come to, Instagram and social media, because I hope that people get the fact that it's not that you're against it because you're someone who's actually used
Yeah.
Instagram very well. I mean, I don't know how it's worked for your business,
Yeah.
but I love watching your Instagram and where you
Yeah.
explain different dishes, the thought behind it, how you create it. So
No,
tell
of
me a bit
course,
about that.
Instagram
Was that
is
did your marketing team push you to do it, or
no,
did it
no,
come to you naturally?
Instagram is a great tool. I think because
Hmm.
I've worked in the fashion industry, so I marketing was one of the departments that I was also handling, right?
Yes.
So I have this simple philosophy. In
Hmm.
Hindi, they say, "Jo dikta hai, wo bikta hai." I always say that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, even if you're putting in a lot of hard work and doing all these creative things, if you're not putting it out there and it's not
Yes.
marketed well, I don't think it's really going to get you any ROI or any,
Absolutely.
going to impact your business in any way. So I think it's also important to communicate the kind of work you're doing. What I meant when I was saying about the bad influence about Instagram is where people are only, they just want to
Yeah.
click
Yeah.
pictures all the time and just
Yeah.
post
Yeah.
on Instagram, and they're not really involved. Or there are a lot of chefs who don't even, once you get to that level, they then stop entering the kitchen.
Yes.
They don't like being in the kitchen. That's what really surprises me. Sometimes some of the chefs I've met, they're just sitting with their laptops, once you reach a certain level. And I feel maybe for me, because it was my passion and I love being in the kitchen and I love cooking. That's why I enjoy it. But I think people who've done hotel management or been chefs for a long time, like 20, 25 years, and
Yeah.
then they're
Yeah.
like, that's it. I
Yeah.
just want to relax. There's a team that's doing their job, and I think that's what I find a little bit disconnecting. Like the chef's never in the kitchen. So
Yeah, in fact, it's such a creative field. So my wife's in advertising, and at a senior level, there are some people who want to focus on other bits like maybe administrative or leadership or whatever. But I think the true creative people are the ones who have their fingers, on what's happening on the pulse of the industry. But you made this interesting point about people who've been in it right from the beginning versus the transition. So tell us a bit about that. That I mean, okay, you saw Chef Amninder and said that okay, I can do this, but you had a stable and successful career of 16 years. And when you've been in it for 16 years, you're now in a certain trajectory and you're about to hit the
yeah,
stratosphere, so to speak, because that's when I made my switch from market research to,
right.
writing professionally. So what was going on in your head at that time? What made you take the step?
Well, I think generally I'm quite a risk taker, and I've
Mm.
tried many things in life. I like to do new things. I think it's for me, it's about learning. So, when you're doing new things in life, there's always constant learning, and I feel that's exciting for me to learn new things, new techniques, and new industries. Do things like that. So when I was doing this, deciding to change my career, I was thinking, I mean, how hard could it be? Like, I knew I'm a great cook, right? I've heard that from many people. And I know I had management skills because I've been working at a senior management
Yeah.
role in a very big retail company. So I'm very good with people. I just had to bring that together and understand how a commercial kitchen runs. I When I decided to get into hospitality, I knew I couldn't get in without any degree or diploma, so to say. So I did this 1 year culinary course in Bangalore. I was 35. All the other kids were 21, 20, 23. It was surprising that some of the people the men who joined, they didn't even know how to switch on a gas, and they wanted to become chefs. That
Wow.
was really shocking. So I still remember my induction. Uh, Everybody was there. I think there were around 20, 25 students, and everyone was like, yeah, I want to open my own shop. I want to do this. I want to go abroad and work. And I think when my turn came up, I just said, I want to be one of the best chefs in India. And everybody turned to see me like, oh, who's this person?
And you
And she's
became one.
already this old, So I got
Uh,
like those looks.
uh,
But I think I just knew. And then when I was studying, I was thinking a lot about Michelin star restaurants, and I was reading a lot about Michelin star restaurants and how the chefs work. And
hmm,
fortunately, for the first time, there was this agency that came to my college and said, we are selecting some people to do kind of a student internship in France. And
wow.
that was super exciting because I applied, and I think I was the only person at that time to go from that
Wow.
college, yeah,
Wow.
to France. And I worked there for a few months. And when I went there, that was, I think, my first realization of what hospitality really meant. There were a lot of problems or hurdles on the way. One, I was Asian. I was the only woman in the French hot kitchen.
Oh, wow.
They were quite racist. Plus,
And
I think
were
I
they
was,
sexist as well? I mean, so it's not just India, which is like male dominated internationally as
yeah,
well.
because the pastry section still had
Huh.
women, but not in the hot kitchen.
So it's an international phenomenon, not
Yeah, I
just
think
India.
so. I think
Yeah,
so. That's
yeah.
what I figured.
Because sometimes we tend
And
to beat ourselves that everything in India is bad, but I think
yeah,
that's not entirely.
yeah,
So if you
yeah,
see, once you go out and see things,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, please.
So, yeah, I mean, I was made to run around a lot. I was working for 16 hours. I was taking instructions from 21, 22-year-old chefs.
Hmm,
Um, there was a language barrier I had to learn. I had just 1 month before going to learn, French. So, my French speaking skills were not the best,
yeah.
but I was trying my best. And I think also French people don't like it when you know English for some reason. I
Oh,
don't know. Yeah. So they refused to communicate with me very efficiently. I had problems. But yeah, I mean, I think most throughout the day, what they made me do is cleaning. Of course, now I do understand the importance of that,
hmm, hmm,
but most of the hours I was just cleaning, and also cleaning the vessels that are used in the kitchen all the time at the sink during service hours, running around. Um, I think in France, usually, I mean, they're not really, I think the internship was not really to train me. They just needed, I think, extra hands for the cleaning job. But I wanted to make best of it. So
hmm,
I kept observing what the chef is doing, how he's managing the kitchen, how are they managing the prep,
hmm,
how do they
hmm.
come around with new ideas, how are they serving, what should be the pickup time, how are they managing different courses, because we had 13 course meal, and
Wow.
every guest who sits in the restaurant comes at a different time, right? So
Okay.
how are you
Hmm,
managing the
hmm,
service for the 13 course meal for each and every table at a different time? Yeah, so there was a lot of learning, and also, but it was kind of impacting my health because I was working for 16 hours, and I wasn't, I mean, imagine from a desk job,
yeah, yeah.
having a comfortable life, standing and working for 16 hours at the age of 35, 36. My legs were giving up. I had I had a small fall while I was walking.
Wow.
So, and then I had to come back because the pain was unbearable. And yeah, I mean, when I came back to India, I was thinking, I mean, there's a certain lifestyle I had, right, when I was in India because of the job that I had.
Yes,
And I'm like,
yes,
now, how do I start? Like, I can't start at a commie position, right?
yes, yes.
So what I did was I had whatever in knowledge I had gathered in France,
Hmm,
and whatever information or whatever management skills I had from my previous industry, and all my passion and creativeness for food, I brought them all together. Went to this one person to meet for a meeting, and this was during lockdown. So he just hired me for as a head chef
hmm.
directly for his
For where?
cloud
Where?
kitchen.
Okay.
Yeah, for a central kitchen for an
Hmm,
upcoming brand. He wanted to open many outlets.
hmm.
But then what happened was lockdown happened. And then, I felt like, something just stopped from me moving ahead.
Yeah,
And, but I wasn't ready to stop. I wanted to continue, do something in food. So during lockdown, I started this brand called Makha Pao, a
yeah, yeah,
cloud
yeah.
kitchen from home.
Hmm, hmm,
And
hmm.
I was doing Goan and Mangalorean food from home.
So
And
you're
I,
Mangalorean or you're Goan?
yes, I'm
Or both?
Mangalorean. And
Mangalorean.
when I came back, I thought, let me start from the roots because I learned
Hmm.
cooking from my mom at the age of 7, right?
And you're a Bombay
And
girl, Mumbai girl.
not really. Actually, I grew up in Muscat. I was
Okay.
born in Bombay, but I grew up in Muscat. And then I came back to Bombay after
Hmm,
finishing my schooling.
hmm, hmm,
So yeah, I mean, when I came back, and then yeah, I was doing this makapao. I was doing really well, uh,
hmm,
and somehow I think I post lockdown I got a job as a sous chef at Opa Kipos, which was Greek
hmm.
restaurant.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and then from there I moved to Saint Regis as a sous chef and head chef for this restaurant called Setemara,
Hmm, hmm,
which is a Mediterranean cuisine restaurant.
hmm.
And yeah, I mean, I think once I got into the scene, then after Regis, I think I got to know a few people. People got to know a little bit about me, and then of course, Gigi was my breakthrough. I think it was my canvas.
Yes.
For the first time, I had the liberty and freshness. Sorry, liberty and
Equality and fraternity.
equality and everything to do whatever I wanted, right? I could
Yes.
just they were like, Chef, this is we want
And
you to go
who
ahead and
who's this? Like, what's your relation over there? Like, you're a chef partner, or who are you working with over there?
so actually I am an independent chef now, right? I
Okay.
started off working with as a brand chef. I'm working with Gigi and Lyla. Of
Hmm,
course, Chrome hired me for
hmm,
both these
hmm.
brands,
Yeah.
and I think I've had a great time
Yes.
working with Chrome, Dhawal,
Hmm,
and of course the investors. They've always
hmm.
been very supportive of my work, and
Yeah.
they've given me a chance to actually, put myself or
Hmm,
show a little bit of my personality on the plate. And yeah, it's they've always been encouraging, and it's been an exciting journey actually. The kind of feedback or the kind of response we've got for the food program at Gigi and Lila, and now even Scarlett, has been
yeah.
great. So
So,
I'm very happy.
so I'll tell you some of the few things which I took out so far. One is that, when you sort of decided,
Sorry,
yeah,
sorry.
yeah,
Can we just pause just for a
sure,
second?
sure, just the most exciting or illuminating thing which I got out of your story so far, among various things, was the fact that when you went to this French place, and a lot of people in jobs find themselves in a, so to speak, a very bad situation, and you don't want yourself to be, you want to get out perhaps as soon as you can. But
Mhm.
what you did was like you really stuck on, and you used that period to keep on learning. So
Yeah.
if you're there, then might as well make the most of it rather
Yeah.
than you know. So the other couple of things which I took out from you was, one was that if there's something which you wanted to do, which you discover, unless you give it a try, you won't know. And when you do it, you
Yeah.
have to forget everything else, because like you said, a certain age, 35 versus people who are starting off, you are at a senior position
Yeah.
in your industry, a
Yeah.
fairly good salary, and then going to this thing. And third was the importance of putting yourself out there, because sometimes people might feel as an artist, it's all about me and my art, but unless people know you
Yeah.
are the artist and the art, it's so talking of artist and art, there are different concepts behind your restaurant. So Gigi is French and Italian, and a bit
So
sorry,
Gigi is
French and
European and
Japanese.
Japanese. Yeah.
Okay, European Japanese. And is that
Japanese.
a fusion, or like I remember a
No,
long time
it's not
back,
fusion. No, no, it's not a
Mustard used to have
fusion. They're
French and
separate
Bengali,
two
but there were
cuisines.
separate menus.
Yeah, they were
So
separate.
separate cuisines.
Separate. Yeah.
And then Lila is a bit of Central American,
No,
uh,
Lila is Mexican in California, so
Mexican.
it's a
Yeah.
Calimex cuisine rather than
Versus
a
Tex-Mex.
Tex-Mex. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, yes. And what about Scarlett?
So Scarlett is actually a very interesting concept. There is no cuisine as in such. It's about
Okay.
nostalgic comfort food. Right. Like I'm doing a vegan satay noodle to a Malabar prawn curry to a sea boss wonton to a chicken franco, which is a derivative of a chicken frankie.
Okay.
We're doing sushis, we're doing some amazing salads. So it's
Right.
all about eating great food. There's no restriction. It's
Yeah.
timeless, it's ageless. You can come at any time, eat any kind of food. There is something for everybody. And I'm actually getting very, very good reviews on the food, and people are really enjoying the food already. And I'm very excited because when I was making the menu, sort of, and coming up with the ideas, I wasn't sure how people are going to take it. At first, initially, when Dhawal told me, let's do this, let's do that, I'm like, aren't we doing too many things? Like,
So is that with Chrome as well?
no, so this is with Dhawal,
Okay. Okay,
who
Dhawan,
was
sorry. Yeah.
part of Gigi and Lyla.
Okay.
So this is, but it's the same investor as Gigi.
Okay.
And of course, there's Malaika Arora, who's one of the
Hmm.
partners. So I think it's
She loves her
also,
food, right? Because, I've been in Bandra for a long time, and I've often seen her in restaurants. I think she loves her
yeah,
food.
she's a complete
Yeah,
foodie,
yeah.
and
Supermodel and a food
yeah, yeah,
lover is quite a unique
yeah.
combination.
Yeah, I mean, I always find like I would say um, great women who really inspire me at work.
That's
I
wonderful.
think, of course, at GG, I had Nikita from the Chrome team.
Yeah.
When I saw her at work, in spite being one of the owners, she was always around. Doing little things, putting things straight, being very involved. And I was really inspired. I thought like she made a lot of difference to the place where I was working. And now, similarly with Malaika Arora, I mean, when I thought, she's a celebrity,
Yes.
it's just going to be her name. She's
Yes.
not going to be really involved, but
Yeah.
she is super involved. Like,
Wow.
to the T, to menu planning, to even the decor or deciding the color of the upholstery, or even if there's a little thing fallen somewhere, or she would just pick it up and put it in the
Yeah.
right place. Um, and she's so warm as a person. It's really amazing to work with her. Yeah.
That's it. And I think that these values which you said about like passion, involvement, this desire to put out the best, which you've seen in people and which you've tried to inculcate, I think shows in the food as well. Because what I've experienced about your food and what people say is that first of all, it's like really great food. There's an innovativeness, freshness to it, but at the same time, these are dishes which you remember and want to come back to. And the reason why I'm saying that is that there's a lot of innovation now, in the Indian food industry.
Yeah.
And I like term which phrase which Chef Alex Sanchez has on his menu in Americano, where he said that at a younger age I was cooking for my ego, but now I'm
Yes.
cooking to sort of feed people, or.
Yeah.
So at one point it's all about the art, but the
Right.
moment one recognizes that there's a consumer of the art, and
Yeah.
literally pun intended,
Right.
um, you know, uh, it's then that you want to come back to, right? Like I was seeing some of the, some of the recent restaurant awards, which one was part of jury of, and I'm glad to see that increasingly restaurants which are chef driven, but could sort of be seen as restaurants which are full and with a lot of repeat customers,
Yeah.
going up there versus the fine dining chefs tasting
Yeah,
for
I
a restaurant.
mean,
Nothing
of
like
course
wrong
there
with that,
is.
but you don't want to
Yeah.
go back to
Yeah.
the same
Yeah.
tasting menu in like in a season, right? So you were saying something.
Yeah, I mean, see, there's no right and wrong, right? There are
Yeah,
different
yeah.
kinds of chefs, and
There's
of
space for
course,
everyone.
in the
Yeah,
space for everybody and what they want to do. For me, I think I connect with people, and for me, it's very important about having them, come over again and again and
yeah,
enjoy the
yeah,
food and doing something for them. So also when I was doing my culinary course, I attended the World on Plate, and I had Marco Pierre White right in front of
yeah,
me, and he was talking about his long journey in the food industry, and how um food as a concept is evolved in different directions. And while I was thinking about Michelin star and all those, and while I worked there, I realized that how could food um, connect with people if the people who are making the food are working and slogging for hours and are not really happy about working in that space?
yes, yes,
So for me, I think it was about having or developing or making a team that's really really happy doing what they do, right? And uh, at the end of the day, when you reach a certain position, I mean, I'm not standing in the kitchen on the range and cooking, so
hmm,
it's my
hmm.
team, it's their
Yeah,
hands, right? But the vision has to transpire and be on the same page for everybody, right? So they have to feel that passion that I feel, right? They, though they never meet the guests, I might meet some guests, they never meet the
yeah,
guests, but they have to have that connection with the guests, and I am that point that has to build that connection between them, right? So for me, the food in the restaurants where I work is all about connecting with people. It's not about, yes, of course, there'll be a little bit of authenticity in the food. It won't be like super fine dining. There'll be elements of gastronomy, but I'm not going to be put complete, like
yeah,
scientifically
yeah,
made food on your plate.
yeah,
I want you to remember the notes of flavors that's hit you. So when you think of a pasta, the first thing you should think is, oh, that pasta at Gigi,
yes, yes.
right? Or if you're
Or
having,
that giant churro at Lila.
yeah, or the giant churro at
I,
Lila, or
I
even the
still sort of
savory
daydream of
churros,
that.
the
Yes,
savory
yeah,
churros are really popular at Lila. And guests, when they go to other places, also talk about, those churros at Lila. That's what I want.
yeah.
I
Because
don't want them
I
to
mean,
remember
once had
as just
churros in
one day.
Madrid, and this, I went to this corner place
Yeah,
which is like really famous for the churros over
yeah,
there. And then your manager was saying, "Have this churro," and I was like completely full. So I was like, "Okay." And then I was
yeah,
like, then you just it's really about enjoying the meal, because then it's not
yeah,
okay. That was like this and this
yeah.
like this. It's just
Right.
tell
Because
me
if you
about
go for a fine dining, right,
uh,
it's the seven course, right? I don't
yes,
think like there's one dish that I can go back to, right? Like I can't go
yes,
back and say
yeah,
I want this
no,
one
no,
dish.
yes,
Yeah, you and you're not going to crave for seven dishes.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that's the
absolutely,
point. Yeah. So
yeah,
that's the
yeah.
point.
I just want to understand a bit about like restaurant planning or conception. So let's go back to Gigi, which is a sort of a unique mix of Japanese and
Yeah.
European. So how do you come up with ideas like Californian and Mexican or
Right.
nostalgia? So how do you come up with such a unique idea?
So the thing is that, of course, we, as a concept, I think Gigi was already, the concept was already decided before I joined, because I joined very last minute.
Okay.
They wanted to do European and Japanese, and I thought it's great because
Hmm.
European cuisine, like Italian food, is really, loved by Indians, and
Yes.
Japanese is something that was coming up.
Yes.
Has been evolving in India a lot,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
everybody is moving towards Asian Japanese food. Um,
And you're
So
located in Bandra, where there are two very strong
yeah,
Japanese brands, Izumi and
yeah,
Mizu.
yeah,
Sifa does some great Japanese as well. So
yeah, yeah.
it must be pretty challenging also to
So for
stand out.
me, I saw the vibe of the place. So first, it's
Yes.
important to understand the vibe. I think the food
Yeah.
needs to match the vibe.
Yes.
The brief given to me was it's a cocktail bar. I said,
Hmm.
well, it for me it doesn't look like a cocktail bar, and it's in Bandra. It's such a massive space, so I'm going to make it a food place.
Yes.
you know,
Yay.
yeah. So I thought, with the kitchen that I had, I made a plan. Okay, this is the size of menu that we can do. So
Hmm.
we can definitely do, and whatever we do has to be the best. And the latest trend that I was seeing is that, like, for example, a lot of people are moving towards vegetarian food.
Hmm.
uh, f- I was, even working at Regis, I was amazed like why people, a lot of people want like innovation in vegetarian food because I think they're
Yes.
bored of having the same.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
for me, that was a challenge. So when I was creating the sushis for
Hmm.
At Gigi, I was thinking, you know what? I think I wouldn't go and have a vegetarian sushi if they're just giving
Yeah.
me asparagus and beetroot and
Yeah.
cucumber in a
Cream
sushi
cheese. Yeah.
cream cheese. I said I want to do something different, right? I want people, and believe me, 70% of the sushi sale comes from the vegetarian sushis that we have at GG, and even non-vegetarians order this
Hmm.
vegetarian sushis. They're that great. So we've done some really cool stuff with enoki mushrooms, with the truffle and
Wow.
avocado, with inari. So they're really nice. Like the sauce is also very innovative. Um, and of course, I wanted to do the best pizzas. So we have an electric oven because, of course, we didn't have that space
Yeah.
for a wood fire. But I wanted
Hmm.
to achieve the Neapolitan style pizza. So yeah, I was already before joining Gigi actually doing a lot of research on the dough for pizza for
Yeah. Yeah.
Neapolitan pizza, and somehow we managed and we cracked it, and yeah, we're doing some great pizzas. Uh, I've Of course there's a lot of usually there's a big run or a short run of trial and error.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you put what you want to put on the menu as a chef, but then you also have
Hmm.
to be quick in changing things depending on the guest response.
Feedback.
I think
Yeah.
that's very important. So yeah, we I did some really hi-fi things, and like things that are not heard of, or some things that other restaurants are not doing. And I had a pushback for a few dishes. Like then I realized, people want something more familiar.
Okay.
They want, of course, innovative ingredients, but
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
flavors should be familiar, like not
Yeah.
very different.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I tried a ramen.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
ramen, we were making the broth like pure chicken, the feet with no proper, the ones that are
Hmm.
served, maybe served in Japan without
Yeah.
any
Yeah.
flavor. and
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
the feedback that I was like, it's tasting too much of chicken. So I was
Uh,
wondering, what is too much
and no
of
one's
chicken?
ever said that. People say too
Yeah,
much of, mutton, too much of
yeah.
fish, fishy, but no one's ever said too much of
Yeah,
chicken.
too much of chicken. And then I'm like, what does too much of chicken mean? And
Yeah.
then I started adding little bit of spice, in the
Hmm.
sense Japanese seasoning,
Hmm.
and a
Hmm.
bit of lemongrass in the broth. And now everybody is like, wow,
So,
it's
so you,
amazing.
so you didn't feel disheartened or know that this is what I'm
Not
missing,
at
and
all.
you need to like it. Like, what are you like?
No,
I know I've
no. For me, I'm cooking for the guests,
hmm,
right?
hmm,
For
hmm,
me, it's important. It's not about what I want to put on the plate.
hmm,
It's about what they want on their plate. Always. For me, it's
hmm,
always like that. I'm not very restrictive about
hmm,
the way I cook my food. It's always about the guests. They should be happy, and I think that's also the reason why I got into this profession, is because cooking for others make me happy, right?
yes.
Their reaction or their fascination or whatever they feel when they eat that
Hmm.
food, that's important, right?
Brilliant. No, I want to, you spoke about this trend towards vegetarians. So, like, for me, since when I was, mid 40s onwards, and now, of course, 50, is that slowly my body tends more towards vegetarian food, and of course, like medical advice being given. This thing, so I love my meats and stuff, but but one looks out for, vegetarian options, and one hardly, I went to a few local vegetarian places like Aswad and Som and all that, and when I went with the view of looking for vegetables, all I found was like aloo, paneer, and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely think that that's a good trend to this thing. But I want to ask you about trends, because there's so much happening outside there. There's so much happening, so many chefs, so many different types of cuisine, so much of good stuff happening over there, accolades, and so on social media you see stuff. So, how difficult is it to not succumb to FOMO or an imposter, syndrome, and to keep focus on what's doing? Do you ever feel like, oh God, who am I? Like, I'm doing nothing. Does that
Uh,
feeling ever come to you?
I think what brings around that feeling is, um, usually these award shows and all these things, like they make you feel a bit, like, am I that important or not? But the next day, so next day, when I go to the restaurant and the restaurant is packed, I'm like, how does it matter? Right? How does
Yeah,
it matter?
yeah,
How
yeah.
does it matter that this one entity is giving you an award for your work?
Yes,
I mean, this is an award for me,
yes,
for my work.
yes,
Your restaurant is packed always, always.
mm,
And it's for the food. Like at
yes.
Gigi or Lyla, 60% sale comes from the food. So,
Yeah,
you
and they have
know,
such evolved. It started off by being a cocktail bar. You
yeah,
said,
both the
Gigi.
places. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And even Scarlett House now, it's crazy. I mean, um,
I mean,
like,
you would associate a place, this thing by Malaika to be all about like really trim food and
yeah.
and just about,
Yeah, but
kind
it's
of,
not. And she's also not like that. She eats
yeah,
anything and everything. She just controls, I think, her
yeah,
portion
yeah,
size,
yeah, yeah.
but she eats anything and everything.
Mm,
And that's also very cool. And, I had the opportunity to go to her house where she cooked for me to try what she cooks at home. So we have a bit of her, like her recipes also in the restaurant. Like we have a mala special. So, yeah, I mean, all in all, I feel it's great. It was a tough start,
yeah,
and but it was really good. It's really good now,
yes,
and I think the questions that I had earlier of whether I should have left this to be my passion and
yeah,
not pursue it, I think slowly that's changing.
mm,
And I'm also trying to bring about a little bit of change uh, through my experiences in hospitality, at least with my team, like,
yes,
because I know I worked with other chefs in hotels and stuff. I know, like, because they worked 15 years earlier and slogged their ass and did
mm,
hard work, they also expect that, even if you can do smart work now, you must do hard work because I have done it.
yes.
So I'm trying
So
to
you
change
you
that.
must be able to solve math equation, while today you can actually put it into Google and get the
Yeah.
same answer. And why not? Why not? I mean,
Yeah, why
yeah,
not? And why
yeah,
does anybody need to work for more than 9 to 10 hours? There needs to be a work life, personal life
mm,
balance, right?
yeah,
You
yeah,
don't, I think when you don't work for 8 hours,
mm,
you're looked down upon. And I don't see why you
yes,
need
yes.
to.
In every
Like,
industry.
if you just work efficiently, and
Mm,
of course, there are days when the restaurant is super busy, and my team
yeah,
will never say, "No, chef, we won't be back." They will never, because they
mm,
know, okay, I'm needed.
mm,
So I empower them with the feeling that they're not just soldiers, at the kitchen. Each and every person in my kitchen is a chef,
wow,
including me. Yeah. And
wow.
I work with them, I help them in their mesa, and that's how I even train all my senior chefs, that they respect is not demanded, it's earned. And you
Mm.
can only earn that if you work with them.
And what about the partnership with front of house? I mean, all of this is what's happening in the kitchen. Because I remember when I went to some of your restaurants, I mean, there's so much pride,
Yeah.
between in the people serving. in what they're serving. So how does this partnership
No,
work?
I mean, it's all about teamwork, right? 50% is the
Hmm.
food, 50% is the service. I feel like
Yeah.
if the food is great, if the service is not, it
Yeah.
won't be a great experience for the guest. So I work very closely with the restaurant managers in the restaurant. I'm constantly involved even in the operations. Like I always, when I go to the restaurant, I take a round of the entire restaurant, see if everything is okay. I speak with the managers. We have briefings with service staff as well. We have trainings. I feel like if their soft skills are not great, like if the way they're talking to the guest is not great,
Hmm.
then
Hmm.
I also talk to them about, how we could uh, make it better. Of course,
Yeah.
it's a workplace with more than 100
Hmm.
people working together, so there will be,
Yeah. Of course.
clashes, and there will be things that need sorting out. But yeah, I mean,
It's like a marriage. I mean, unless the clashes are there,
yeah,
I mean, the
yeah, yeah,
passion and Josh is
yeah,
not there. I mean, even coming to awards, I mean, since once been in the jury of various awards and over the years, I mean, I just feel some of my really favorite restaurants and what you said about being packed. Um, they are not part of the nomination list and
yeah,
stuff. Or even when one gives their names, they don't make it to the final list. But one still has to queue up to get in, and often for
yeah,
long. So I guess I mean there are different things for different strokes, but I
yeah,
think that from your food. The general vibe in your restaurants, as well as the storytelling in your social media, your Instagram things, where it
yeah,
it comes through that you actually want to tell people. It's almost like a fireside chat which you're having with your viewer
yeah.
on that particular dish or how you
I
came
think,
up
yeah,
with it.
that's working
Yeah.
well for me. And I
Yes.
feel
Yes.
like I'm a good storyteller. I've been able
Yeah.
to,
Yeah.
like, for example, the Big Apple dessert. When I
Yes.
created
Yes.
that dessert, it was from scratch. There was no references and such, right?
Yes.
So I
Yes.
wanted to do a dessert that's a little bit more Californian style, but I was doing a lot of research and I couldn't find any great dessert. And I was
Hmm.
thinking, yeah, what is popular in, California, or even in New York, it's the apple. And I was thinking,
Yes.
like, what should I
The
come
Big
up with?
Apple from
Yeah,
New York. Yeah.
the big apple. So I didn't want to do like just, like a apple pie or something,
Hmm.
but have the similar flavors because they go really well together.
Hmm.
So I was thinking, what should I do? Maybe,
Hmm.
have the whole apple itself. And that's how I just came up with the layers randomly. The
Hmm.
recipe was entirely from scratch. And that's the video that has almost reached 4 million. And I'm kidding you
Wow.
not. Yeah, kidding you not. I was, I think, coming back from Goa at the airport or
Huh.
something. I was at the airport, and this one girl, she comes running. You are the Big Apple chef. I said, wow. Like,
And were you
I don't
running
want
out of
to.
the
I
dish in
don't want to
restaurant?
be
Did
known.
that translate into
Yeah, yeah.
sales? There were people coming in
Of
and
course. So,
they wanted to be seen.
of
Like I
course,
remember in
before
London, there
the
was this dish which um, you know it was Anushka Sharma said that no, whatever. Like yeah, said that Ranbir Kapoor brought for
right,
yeah, Alia said, and everyone wanted to have that. So did
have
that
that.
happen over here?
Of course. So, like, before we did this video, like, of course, we've done trials. We all knew that the dessert is good,
Huh.
but usually, I don't know, Indians have a problem with apple dessert. No one wanted to
I
eat an apple.
know. कुछ भी नहीं है
Nobody wanted
actually
to.
apple.
Yeah,
Yeah,
nobody
except
wanted to
apple
eat
pie
an
or something. Yeah,
apple dessert.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then we were doing only one or two per day or
Huh,
something. And
huh,
then this video comes out, and then
huh,
it's like 10, 15 a day.
huh.
Like, people, I remember there was one lady who came all the way from Surat, and she came
Wow.
during after lunch service during the
Huh,
break time, and she's
huh.
like, "I've just come to have that one dessert. We saw the video.
Wow.
So can we have
Wow.
that?" And then she met me also, and then she's like, "Chef, I've seen you. I'm so excited that you're here at the restaurant."
Oh,
And then she took a picture, and she's like, "It's the best dessert I've had."
wow.
I've actually had students from. There's one student who's, I
I'm
think, was
getting
pursuing
goosebumps listening to
pastry.
you. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
she's pursuing pastry, and I was not there that day,
Huh, huh,
unfortunately. And she
huh.
left me this note
Hmm.
saying, chef, I saw your video and I came to the restaurant, and I must tell you that it was fabulous, and everything, the way you were explaining the dessert, it was like that. And I want to become a pastry chef, and I want to make desserts like you, the way you're doing your work. And see, of course, I inspired her, but then, the way she left that note, that inspired me so much. And my team, I went and read that note to my team, and my team was ecstatic. They were
Yes.
ecstatic when I read that message. So
Like I said,
this
I'm
is the
feeling the
kind of work I
goosebumps.
want
Yeah.
to do.
Yeah,
This is
how
the
does
kind of
this
work I
feel? I
want to
mean,
do.
this celebrityness can often sort of. I mean, it is, no? I mean, yeah, in an
Yeah.
airport, like I've seen people where things happening like that to Anil Kapoor and all, where
Mm.
people flock
Yeah.
to the actor. So how
Yeah.
does it that can also be a bit,
See,
getting
I
to
mean,
the
it's
head,
different.
no?
Like if Sanjeev Kapoor is on the airport, everybody will see because Khana
Yeah,
Khazana, right? That was
yeah,
the
yeah,
show,
yeah.
right?
Yes, yes.
But as in, if somebody asks me, like, obviously for me, it's more about, it's more closer, or not just because people have heard of me on Instagram or something and they're calling out, like Chef
Hmm.
Beena. But the thing is, she said, "You're the Big Apple chef." She didn't even remember my name,
Yes,
right? What is
yeah.
more astonishing or greater is that she remembers my name,
And
the
the
name of
dish,
the dish. Yeah.
dish. Yes,
So
yeah.
that's
And
what,
and
that's how I want to be known.
and that's no, that's fabulous. And I think that that's I mean, if people see this and suddenly say, okay, mujhe jaake Instagram karna hai, and my restaurant will become a hit, my dish will become a hit. I think
Yeah.
it's not that, because I've seen that, and I think that the the sheer passion with
Yeah.
which you are explaining it can't be just created in vacuum. It obviously came from the fact that you felt that and you made that, and that pride was there. So
Right.
yeah, it was fabulous, and one can keep talking, and we're actually in the same neighborhood. So I'm sort
Yeah.
of tempted to go over to your house and say, okay, now make me the big apple. No, but Chef B, it was just fabulous talking to you. I mean, your journey, the way you look at things, and I think this is just the beginning, and I'm just
Yes.
waiting to see what's new in terms of dishes or restaurants. But
Oh,
folks, I mean, I'm sure you've probably already been part of the queue at Gigi or Lyla and
yeah.
Scarlett,
Thank
and
you.
yeah, and these are great places and great food
Yeah, I
ahead, and
mean, I'm very excited, and thank you for having me on this episode, your show. I think what I've realized through the journey is that I think it was not my calling to just cook for people and become a chef. I think the calling was because I think this cooking or food is just the medium to inspire people in different ways. So I'm coming to that realization, and it's giving me a lot of joy, you know. So I'm
wow,
very happy where I am. Yeah.
that's fabulous. You found your sense of purpose, which
Yes.
people take a while to find, and but once you find it, once you found your sweet spot, you
Yeah.
found a big apple.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. It was lovely talking to you.
Thank you, Karyan.
Thank
I'm
you,
hoping to
and
see you soon
yes,
at one
yes,
of the
and
restaurants and fill
yeah,
you up. So please let me know
yeah,
whenever that's
yeah.
possible.
Why just one? I've done Lila already. Now I have to do Gigi
Yeah,
and
Gigi and Scarlett. Yeah.
Scarlet, and then back to Lila and
Yes, of
the,
course.
the the big churro.
Big
And
churro.
yeah, and Happy New Year to you in advance, and to your
Yes,
team,
wish you the same.
and to all your guests over there.
Thank you. Wish you the same.
Take care.